All right, so if you're running a large, complex enterprise system, let's be honest, the idea of migrating all your business data,
Oh, it's terrifying.
it is. I mean, you're talking about thousands of customer records, millions of transactional entries, and moving it all into a new environment like SAP S4HANA, it's just daunting.
It's more than daunting. I think a good way to put it is it's like performing high-stakes surgery on the very nervous system of your business.
That's a great way to think about it.
And that's exactly why you can't just use general ETL tools. You need something built in, something reliable that actually understands the complex logic inside S4HANA.
Which is what we're here to talk about. Today we are doing a deep dive into the blueprint for this exact challenge. It's the cookbook for SAP S4HANA Migration Cockpit.
That's right. This is the central Fiori application that SAP designed to handle that heaviest lift moving your core business data into S4HANA, whether it's on-premise or in the private cloud edition.
And our mission here is really to cut through all that complexity. We want to give you a complete, clear overview of the two main approaches that SAP provides right inside that migration cockpit.
Staging tables and direct transfer. We'll look at both of them and maybe more importantly, flag the absolutely critical planning steps you need to take.
Right. So if you need to get up to speed on this process quickly, we're going to focus on those big strategic decisions you have to make right at the start.
And to start, everything really hinges on understanding one core concept, the migration object.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is a migration object? It sounds like more than just a file.
It is so much more. Fundamentally, yes, it's a business entity, a customer, a sales order, a fixed asset. But here is the key insight.
Hmm.
It is not just a data container.
So what is it then?
It's an encapsulation of logic. It contains all the complex programming, often using specific APIs, to actually create that business entity in the target system. And it includes the mapping rules.
Like how an old department code translates into a new one.
Exactly. And these are categorized as master data and transactional data. But, and this is crucial, the cockpit is explicitly not designed or intended for migrating historical data.
Okay, that's a very important distinction to make upfront. So let's get into the two core migration approaches. We know what we're moving, these migration objects. What's the first path?
The first is called migrate data, using staging tables.
And you mentioned this is the more controlled, sort of surgical approach.
That's a good way to describe it. It's flexible because the data doesn't just get thrown into the target system. You load it into these temporary staging tables first.
So it gives you a chance to check everything.
Precisely. It gives you incredible granular control over the quality of the data before it goes in. This method is really the clear choice if you think you're going to have a lot of data cleansing to do, or if your data volume is relatively low.
Okay, so if control is the big benefit, what's the downside? I mean, relying on flat files like XML or CSV templates, doesn't that create a huge administrative headache? Version control, reconciliation, that sort of thing.
That's the trade-off, absolutely. You gain that control, but you introduce external management overhead. To help with that, you really have three options for loading the data.
Okay.
The first, and the one SAP recommends, is using XML template files. They're stable, they're great for manual editing, and most importantly, they contain all the related data structures for one object in a single file.
And the second option, you mentioned CSV files, which the source material calls the expert option. That sounds a little intimidating.
It's called expert for a reason. With CSVs, you have to manage a separate file for every single data structure inside an object.
Wait, so for one object, that could be dozens of files.
It could be.
Right.
But here's the hidden flexibility and why it's the expert option. The structure lets you insert only the specific data fields you actually need to migrate.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is. You can even change the order of the fields as long as you adjust the header correctly.
So hold on, I can just skip fields I don't need. That could streamline the data prep process a lot. That seems like a massive performance advantage over XML where you're stuck with the whole structure.
Exactly. It's like custom tailoring for performance and automation. And then there's a third option that bypasses files entirely.
Okay.
If you set up your project to use a remote SAP S4HANA database schema, you can use powerful external ETL tools like SAP Data Services or HANA Smart Data Integration to pipeline data directly into those remote staging tables. Maximum automation.
Got it. Okay, now let's pivot to that second core approach. Direct transfer. If staging is the controlled surgical method, what's this one all about?
This one is the in-system approach.
Yeah.
You're basically connecting directly to an ABAP-based SAP source system using an RFC connection. The whole idea is to pull the data directly and bypass the files.
But you're dependent on what that source system looks like.
Very dependent. It's not a universal tool. It requires deep integration layers to work reliably.
So which legacy systems are actually supported for this?
The source material is very clear on this. It lists 5 specific scenarios. Standard SAP ERP from Release at 6.0 onwards, SAP AFS, SAP APO SPP, SAP CRM, and SAP EWM.
So it's a pretty limited list.
It is. And there's one non-negotiable technical prerequisite before you can even think about trying this.
And what's that?
You absolutely have to have the DMIS add-on. That's the Data Migration and Information Service installed in your source system. It's the layer that handles the data extraction. Without it, the communication is blocked. The cockpit just can't pull the data.
And I assume the system is smart about what data it pulls.
It is. The selection is based on predefined organizational units. So for an ERP migration, you select which company codes you want. For EWM, you select your warehouse numbers. You set all that up when you create the project.
Which brings us to planning.
Yes. And the planning is, well, it's the hidden high-stakes factor in all of this. The documentation is really clear that the non-technical measures impact performance just as much as the technical ones.
So what are the best practices we have to nail down before we even start clicking buttons in the app?
First, you must budget time and resources for multiple test cycles. Don't think of it as one test. Think of it as iterative refinement. Test 1, test 2, test 3 until it's perfect.
And what's the second?
Get your basis experts involved early. Very early. You need them to run dedicated performance tests. It's no good if your data is perfect, but the volume crashes the system during the actual migration.
And there's a huge warning sign in the source material about system releases, especially for the direct transfer method. This sounds like something that could be a career-ending mistake.
It is the iron rule. Do not upgrade your target S4HANA release during an active direct transfer project. SAP just can't guarantee that the migration objects will continue to work after the upgrade.
So what do you do if you have to upgrade?
The strong recommendation is to finish your current work and then create entirely new migration projects after the upgrade. You just don't take chances with this.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly. So let's walk through the project creation itself in the Fiori app. No matter which approach we choose, staging or direct, we start by setting up the general data.
Right. Your project name, your mass transfer ID, and if you chose the staging approach, this is where you also define your database connection, either local for file uploads or remote if you're using those external ETL tools.
And then comes the development package selection, which you said has massive implications.
Massive. This choice dictates whether your project can be transported through your landscape.
So if I pick the local package, the TMP one, what does that lock me into?
It locks you into that specific client and system. That's it. A project created in TMP cannot be transported later. So if your plan is to move your project definition, all the rules, from dev to QAS to production.
You have to use a proper transportable package from the very beginning.
From the very beginning, it forces good IT discipline right up front.
And after that, we select our migration objects. I did notice the system seems pretty smart about dependencies here.
It is. You select your core objects, and the system intelligently figures out and adds any dependent objects. It calls them predecessors.
Right. You can't migrate a sales order before the customer exists.
Exactly. And just a key detail to remember, you can't delete a migration object from the Fiori app later on if there's already data for it in the staging tables. It becomes much more complicated to clean up.
Okay, so once the data is staged or it's been selected from the source system, we hit what sounds like the most critical phase, mapping.
There's it. This isn't just about moving data. It's about translating data.
Yeah.
You have to transform those source values, an old product code, an outdated cost center, to the new target values that S4HANA requires.
And how do we manage that translation in the cockpit?
It's all done through dedicated mapping tasks. You can go in and maintain the values manually, which is fine for short lists. Or for high-volume changes, you can use the download and upload functionality with XML templates.
And I see there are options when you upload those mapping files.
Yes, you have control over 2 things. First, confirmation. You can have the system confirm values automatically, or you can force manual review. Second, loading. You can either replace existing values, which is a full wipe and load, or you can modify add values.
And you have to be careful there to avoid accidentally wiping out work.
You really do. And sometimes, this mapping step has to happen surprisingly early in the process, even before you touch the data files.
Really? Why is that?
For very complex master data objects, like customer or product, the system might force you to complete certain mapping tasks as the very first step. That's because the internal logic for creating that object in S4HANA depends on having those values defined before it can even validate the incoming data.
Wow, okay. Now let's talk about moving these projects across the landscape. Transport functionality. This feels like the highest risk part of the whole thing.
It is. The transport functionality is essential for moving your configuration from DE to QAS to PRD. You use the Migration Object Modeler, the LTMOM, to add your project definition and rules to a standard transport request.
Okay, and this is where it gets, as you said, really interesting. This is where teams can get into trouble. So we need a very clear explanation of what actually gets transported.
Think of it this way. You are transporting the blueprint for the migration.
Okay.
The blueprint. But you are not transporting the furniture or the paint colors. The definition of a rule, the logic that says we need to translate company code, that moves. But the actual mapping values, for example, that old company 1000 becomes new company N100, those specific values are not transported.
Wait. So the critical implication here for the listener is all that detailed mapping work we did in development has to be re-entered in QA and again in production.
Manually or programmatically, yes, it has to be re-entered. This separation of definition and execution is fundamental. All of those execution time activities, editing the values, simulating, migrating, must be done again in each target system.
What's the strategic risk there? I mean, having to manually re-upload thousands of mapping values in a production system right before you go live, that sounds risky.
The risk is massive.
Mm-hmm.
You introduce the potential for human error right at the most critical moment. And even more importantly, it can create a huge audit and compliance risk. If you're subject to SOX, for instance, you need a perfect audit trail showing the rules were applied identically. Manual maintenance opens the door to discrepancies.
So strict controls are absolutely imperative.
Imperative. And just to round this out, if you have unique needs, you can use that same LTMOM tool to define completely new migration objects or enhance existing ones. And if your business has used the Custom Fields application to add fields to S4HANA, the migration objects could be updated to include those too.
So with our data staged and meticulously remapped in each system, we finally get to execution, simulation, and migration. How does the system handle huge volumes here?
It's built for scale and control. You can run both the simulation and the migration for a single object, or you can use the mass processing function for many objects at once. And you have really detailed selection options for testing.
Like what?
You can test on a random 10% or random 500 items, or use a custom selection to zero in on specific records you think might be problematic. That mass processing is absolutely essential for handling the really large jobs.
And when things go wrong, which they will.
Which they will. You need to distinguish clearly between errors and warnings. Oh, warning. You can probably proceed, but you should check it out. An error, though, that halts progress for that specific record. It has to be fixed before that instance can be migrated.
What are the best tools for tracking down what went wrong?
The cockpit gives you 4 main ways to check messages. You can use the monitoring screen for a high-level view of an entire activity. You can check messages in the project view to see all instances with a specific error. You can go to the instances view to see all errors for one specific record, or you can check the history for a specific run.
And I saw there was a specific app for visual monitoring, too.
Yes, the Data Migration Status app. It's really useful. It gives you this real-time progress visual with a simple traffic light system. Gray means simulated, green means migrated successfully, and red means errors. You can see your bottlenecks at a glance.
And what about auditing? This seems to connect the technical process back to business compliance.
Absolutely. That same Data Migration Status app, specifically for the staging approach, has audit functionality. This lets the business owners formally validate the migrated data. They can set a status approved, rejected, or pending on each instance.
Manually?
Annually, or, and this is crucial, they can do a mass assignment, they can do a random selection for audit, or upload a spreadsheet of records to approve. This provides that formal, documented sign-off that your GRC people are going to demand.
Wow. We have covered a massive amount of high-stakes ground here. So, to summarize, you've got 2 reliable tools: staging tables for maximum flexibility and control,
Or direct transfer for in-system extraction from one of those 5 specific legacy SAP systems.
and the central challenge, no matter which path you take, is that critical separation between project definition and execution.
We can't stress it enough, your project definition gets transported, but the actual data instances and the specific mapping values do not. That forces you to perform those sensitive activities in each downstream system.
Which really brings us back to the non-technical side of all this. Exactly. While you can tune technical things like batch process numbers for performance, the most critical factors for success are rigorous data cleansing and thorough, multiple test cycles. The quality of your input really dictates your execution risk.
So what does this all mean? We've covered the technical path, but here's a final thought for you to chew on. The source material notes that some of these complex migration objects, especially for direct transfer, can be deriving and compiling data from over 100 different source tables just to create one streamlined target object in S4HANA. That incredible level of translation is happening under the surface, regardless of which path you choose. So if all that complexity is hidden from you by the cockpit, how much simpler does the entire process become if you ensure your source data isn't just present, but absolutely immaculate? Because the less the system has to cover up with its hidden logic, the smoother everything will run.